Okay, so you want to own a gas station. Good news. There are 152,000 of them in the United States. They are, by volume, one of the most common businesses in the country. They sit on nearly every major intersection in every city of America. They are open around the clock. They sell a product that every single person who owns a car needs to buy, with complete predictability, on a recurring basis, for as long as they own that car. It sounds like the safest business in the world. It is not. The average gas station in the United States earns a net profit of between 3 and 7 cents per gallon of fuel sold. 3 to 7 cents. The average pump price in 2024 was around $3.50 per gallon. That means for every dollar a customer hands you at the pump, you keep less than 2 cents. The other 98 cents goes to the oil company that supplied the fuel, the taxes baked into every gallon by federal and state governments, and the cost of running the equipment that dispensed it. The average gas station sells around 4,000 gallons a day. It's 7 cents a net profit per gallon on a good day. That's $280 in daily profit from fuel. In a year, that's roughly $100,000 before expenses. By the end of this video, you will understand why the gas station, the business that generates $553 billion in annual U.S. industry revenue, that sells 80% of all fuel purchased in this country, that sits on the most valuable commercial real estate in every American suburb, makes its money on almost everything except the one thing it is named after. And you will understand what is buried under the ground beneath it that could cost you everything you own. Let's start with what it actually costs to get in. Building a gas station from scratch requires between $1 and $3 million in construction costs alone. That covers site preparation, the canopy over the pumps, the convenience store building, and the infrastructure that connects all of it. It does not cover the land, which in a high-traffic suburban location can run between $500,000 and over $1 million, depending on where you are building. And it does not cover the most important and most expensive piece of the entire operation, which is what goes underground. A gas station runs on underground storage tanks, USTs as the EPA calls them. Every gallon of fuel you sell passes through one first. A standard 10,000-gallon double-walled fiberglass tank costs between $25,000 and $40,000 per unit. When you add excavation, installation, piping, and the required environmental permits, the total expenditure for underground storage on a typical new station runs between $150,000 and $250,000. A station with multiple fuel grades, regular, mid-grade, premium, diesel, needs multiple tanks. The pumps themselves, 6 to 12 dispensers for a full-size location, cost between $15,000 and $25,000 each. Total equipment and tank costs, $300,000 to $750,000. Added up, land, construction, equipment, permits, environmental compliance, insurance, and the working capital to sustain operations for the first 6 months. The full cost to open a new gas station in the United States ranges from $1.5 million to well over $4 million. And you haven't even sold a single gallon yet. Now, let's talk about what you're actually selling. Fuel is a commodity. You didn't make it. You didn't refine it. You did not transport it. You bought it wholesale from a supplier, either a major oil brand like Shell, BP, or Chevron if you're operating a franchise station, or an unbranded wholesaler if you are independent. And you are reselling it at a markup so thin that it barely registers. The math on a franchise station is the most constrained. You pay the brand's franchise fee, follow their pricing guidelines, use their approved suppliers, and put their logo in everything. In exchange, you get brand recognition, marketing support, and a supply chain that keeps your tanks full. What you give up is flexibility. Your fuel price is largely set for you. Your supplier is chosen for you. Your store layout is dictated to you. The math on an independent station gives you more control. You can negotiate your own supply deals, set your own prices, and stock your convenience store with whatever you want. But you are building customer loyalty from scratch, which on a product as interchangeable as gasoline, where most customers choose a station based entirely on price and proximity, is a harder problem than it sounds. In either model, the net profit margin on fuel is under 2%. That number has not meaningfully changed in decades. Fuel prices fluctuate violently. The price of crude oil can move 20% in a month, but the margin per gallon stays roughly the same regardless of whether the gas costs $2.50 or $4.50 at the pump. When the wholesale price goes up, you raise the pump price. When it falls, you lower it. You are a pass-through for the oil market. The price gouging people accuse gas stations of during price spikes is almost entirely at the refinery and distribution level, not at the retail level. The station owner is caught in the middle, keeping their 3 to 7 cents while customers yell at the pump. This is the fundamental problem with the gas station business. You're running a high-volume, high-overhead operation to deliver a product on which you earn almost nothing. The fuel exists to get people to stop. What you actually need them to do is come inside. Convenience store sales are where the economics of a gas station actually work. In 2024, in-store sales accounted for 37.1% of total gas station revenue, up from 33.8% the year before. The gross margin on a bottle of water, a bag of chips, a cup of coffee, or a car wash is not 2%. It's closer to 30 to 50%. A customer who buys $50 in fuel and spends $4 on a coffee has just handed you more profit on that coffee than on the entire tank of gas. The entire strategic logic of the modern gas station is built around this fact. The canopy, the pumps, the underground tanks, the $2 million in infrastructure, all of this exists to generate foot traffic for a convenience store. You're not running a fuel business with a shop attached. You're running a shop that uses cheap fuel as its customer acquisition strategy. The most profitable gas stations in the country understand this completely. They've expanded their food service operations into full kitchens. They sell branded coffee. They have car washes attached, which carry their own strong margins and create a separate reason for customers to stop. They run loyalty programs that lock customers into returning to their specific location instead of the competitor across the street. Buc-ee's, the Texas-based chain with locations the size of small department stores, generates enough revenue from food service and merchandise that the fuel is almost incidental to the business. Their largest location has 120 pump stations and 80,000 square feet of retail space. They're not a gas station. They're a destination that sells gas. The average sole proprietor gas station is not Buc-ee's. The average owner of a single independently operated station, after fuel costs, payroll, utilities, rent or debt service, insurance, credit card processing fees, and every other operating expense, takes home somewhere between $60,000 and $150,000 a year. At a strong suburban location with good convenience store traffic, that number can reach $200,000 to $300,000. At a weak location, it can fall below $50,000. For a business that required $1.5 million to $4 million to open. Now, let's talk about what is underneath the ground. Every gas station in the country is sitting on underground storage tanks that are slowly aging. The useful life of a UST is 25 to 30 years. The EPA estimates that approximately half of all existing gas stations in the United States have storage tanks that are approaching or have already exceeded that threshold. These tanks corrode. They develop hairline fractures. They leak. When a UST leaks, the fuel does not stay contained. It migrates through the soil. It reaches the water table. It contaminates groundwater, which roughly half the US population depends on for drinking water. Thousands of municipal and private wells across the country have been permanently shut down as a result of contamination from leaking underground storage tanks. The EPA estimates the average cleanup of a leaking UST costs $154,000. That is the average. Cleanups involving groundwater contamination, which is the scenario that makes regulators move quickly, range from $100,000 to over $1 million. In some documented cases, they have exceeded that. There are currently more than 57,000 leaking UST sites across the country still waiting for full remediation. And here's the part that matters for anyone thinking about buying a gas station. Under federal law, the person in control of the property at the time of the leak is liable for the cleanup, not the previous owner, not the oil company that supplied the fuel, not the tank manufacturer. You. If you buy a gas station that has a tank leaking beneath the surface right now, and you would not necessarily know because the signs of a slow underground leak are not visible from the street, you inherit the liability the moment the deed transfers. Environmental due diligence before purchasing an existing station, which involves soil testing and phase assessments that cost between $15,000 to $20,000 on their own, is not optional. It is the difference between a business acquisition and a six-figure environmental cleanup obligation showing up 2 years after you sign the papers. Federal law also requires gas station owners to carry insurance covering cleanup costs for underground storage tank leaks at a minimum of $1 million per incident. For stations with aging tanks, obtaining that coverage on the private market is, in some cases, prohibitively expensive. Several states have created publicly funded programs to subsidize UST insurance precisely because private insurers will not touch the risk at any reasonable premium. The risk is so well understood and so widely distributed across the industry that it has become a line item in public budgets. There's a third problem with the gas station business, and it is the longest-term one. In 2024, electric vehicle sales globally exceeded 17 million units, accounting for more than 20% of all new car sales. In the United States, EVs accounted for roughly 10% of new car sales, a number that has been growing every year. A Boston Consulting Group analysis projects that up to 25% of fuel retail stations in the US could become unprofitable by 2035 as gasoline demand declines. In markets where EV adoption accelerates fastest, fuel profits could fall by up to 60% over that same period. The gas station industry is aware of this. The National Association of Convenience Stores spent much of its 2025 annual conference telling operators that the future of the business lies inside the store, not at the pump. Fuel revenues fell 5.7% in 2024 alone. The advice was to expand food service, add car washes, invest in loyalty programs, and reduce dependence on the product the business is named after. This is the existential question sitting underneath every gas station acquisition right now. You're buying into an industry that generates $553 billion in annual revenue, that has enormous physical infrastructure embedded into the American landscape, and that is structurally dependent on a product whose long-term demand curve is pointing downward. The convenience store side of the business is growing. The fuel side is not. Some operators are installing EV charging stations alongside their pumps. Research shows that EV drivers enter convenience stores 45% more often than gasoline customers, spend more money per visit, and are willing to pay a premium for locations that are clean, well-lit, and reliable. The 20 to 30 minutes an EV driver spends charging their car is 20 to 30 minutes they spend inside a convenience store. The economics of the transition, if you get ahead of it, are not necessarily worse than what they are replacing. But the capital required to retrofit a gas station for EV charging, on top of the capital already invested in the original infrastructure, is another round of investment on a business that was already expensive to build. There are 152,000 gas stations in the United States. That number has been declining for 2 consecutive years. In 1984, there were over 200,000. The industry has lost roughly a quarter of its locations over the past 3 decades, and the math driving that consolidation is straightforward. The margins on fuel are too thin for small operators to compete with large chains that have the scale to extract better wholesale pricing, run more sophisticated loyalty programs, and invest in the food service operations that actually generate profit. 60% of US convenience stores are still owned by operators with 10 or fewer locations. They're running the same product the chains are running, for the same margin, with less leverage at every point in the supply chain. The gas station is one of the oldest and most recognizable businesses in American commercial life. It predates the interstate highway system. It was built into the architecture of the American suburb before the suburb existed in its current form. It will not disappear quickly. The 122,000 stations selling fuel right now will not empty overnight, and the 152,000 convenience stores attached to them generated $837 billion in sales in 2024, a number driven increasingly by food, not fuel. But the business you're buying today is not the business it was in 1990. The product that gets people to stop is being disrupted by the most significant shift in personal transportation since the automobile itself. The underground infrastructure that makes the whole operation possible carries a federal liability that follows the deed, and the margin on the thing you actually sell, 3 to 7 cents per gallon, unchanged for decades, has never been enough to sustain the business on its own. The convenience store keeps the lights on, the underground tanks keep the lawyers busy, and the EV charger in the corner is either the future of the business or the most expensive hedge in American retail. You decide.